The male student went to prison for intentionally causing bodily harm. The girl's family, wanting to sever their ties, forced her to study abroad. Now she has returned from her studies and is remembering Lai Zun. During those 3 years, she dreamt of Lai Zun countless times. I never loved her before. Her fiancé was by her side, gently comforting Zhu Yun. 3 years had passed since she had returned home. Watching the city and country change so rapidly, she wondered what Lai Zun was doing now. As soon as she arrived home, her mother wanted her to quickly marry her fiancé, Tian Tuzhu. But for many years, Zhu Yun couldn't let go of Lai Zun. Every night, she felt someone behind her. This feeling sometimes felt very real. One day, Zhu Yun and her fiancé were at a coffee shop when a shadowy figure passed by. Though they hadn't seen each other in years, Zhu Yun was sure it was Lai Zun. She hurriedly chased after him, but he was already gone by the time she got outside. A few days later, they were about to go abroad, and Zhu Yun wanted to visit their old university campus before leaving. Every corner of the campus held memories of them. At that very moment, Lai Zun also arrived and passed by their secret base. Just as she was about to go up, she heard the sound of a lighter. Zhu Yun guessed it must be Lai Zun. She quickly ran to the rooftop but found no one there. As she was dejectedly about to leave, she suddenly found the door open. A cute pink bear keychain was hanging on the door. At that moment, memories of their past flooded back. During their freshman year, a certain student's appearance had drawn everyone's attention. He had bleached blonde hair, wore strange clothes, and didn't care about anyone. Zhu Yun had never seen anyone as ostentatious as him, but she would never have guessed that this rebellious young man would capture her entire youth. There's a saying, college love often begins at the cafeteria. Zhu Yun had already gotten her favorite takeout meal. Just as she went to get soup, her best friend helped her switch seats. Lai Zun also just finished getting his food and put it down at the empty seat. Coincidentally, her best friend received a call and ran outside. When Lai Zun returned, he saw a female student calmly eating his meal. "Hey, this seat is taken," he said. Zhu Yun couldn't believe he was so bold. He said it, but he wouldn't leave. "Is it good?" Zhu Yun didn't even realize the food she was eating was his. At that moment, she arrived. "Whose meal are you eating?" she asked. "It's mine. I put it over there because it was cold," he said. She only then realized she had eaten his food. She was so embarrassed. Everyone assumed that Zhu Yun intentionally ate his food to get Lai Zun's attention. The next day in class, the teacher announced that a new student was joining them. "My name is Lai Zun. I'm the top scorer in this year's exam," he said, introducing himself. The top scorer, so it was him. They couldn't believe that the entire province's top scorer was this arrogant guy. Everyone listened intently to the teacher, while he just tapped on his keyboard. Zhu Yun wanted to see what he was doing. "The teacher told you to introduce yourself," she said. "My name is Zhu Yun. I'm a graduate of Liang High School." She could see from her classmates' expressions that she had been tricked. From that moment on, Zhu Yun swore she wouldn't be friends with Lai Zun. Lai Zun, the top scorer of the entire province, was also a handsome guy. Wherever he went, he attracted the attention of many female students. His only flaw was that he liked to be alone. He never went to morning self-study sessions. If a student didn't attend class regularly, the whole class would lose points. As soon as morning came, the class monitor nervously texted Lai Zun. Someone in the dormitory advised the monitor to give up because Lai Zun never replied to anyone's texts. But this time he actually did. "What's this got to do with you?" Lai Zun replied. The monitor didn't give up. He told Lai Zun to attend the class to improve their class's score. "It has nothing to do with me," Lai Zun replied, then blocked the monitor. To secure her position as the class monitor, she asked her friend Zhu Yun to drag Lai Zun to morning self-study every day. Zhu Yun didn't want to approach this icy guy, but for the sake of the class's grades, she had no choice. That day, Zhu Yun followed him early in the morning, and by chance, witnessed the campus beauty confessing her feelings to Lai Zun. He didn't even bother to look at her, coldly rejecting her. Such an act. Then, she followed Lai Zun to the rooftop, quickly explaining that she was assigned by the teacher to bring him to morning self-study. But without a word, Lai Zun pulled out his laptop and gave her 3 chances to play a game on it. If she won, he would go to self-study with her. Ju Yun was also a
Cuối cùng Chu
talented
Vận nhìn
programming
cả 3 lần
student.
đều thất
What
bại.
game could
Điều
she
khiến
not
cô không
handle?
ngờ là cả
She didn't expect that she would fail all 3 times. Finally, Ju Yun saw Lai Zun's code. This game was designed by him, meaning no matter how skilled Ju Yun was, she would still lose. Why did you ask me to play? She asked. Did you find me annoying? Because I find you annoying, he replied. We have no grudges against each other. What gives you the right to say that? You're so fake. And this is my territory. You can't come here without my permission. She couldn't believe he said that. What a monster. Ju Yun vowed to never interact with him again, but they were in the same class. She was the representative of the programming class. Everyone submitted their programming assignment, except Lai Zun. Ju Yun had the audacity to approach Lai Zun and coax him into submitting his work. She knew he wouldn't care about her, so she used reverse psychology. Are you afraid to submit? She asked. You're afraid, aren't you? You've been typing on this laptop all day, as if you were some programming master. What if you submit this assignment and your classmates see the code full of errors? Wouldn't that be embarrassing? So the best thing to do is to not submit, right? Unexpectedly, Lai Zun fell for it, and he even finished the assignment right in front of her. Ju Yun took the assignment home and happily told everyone. Lai Zun is just a talentless guy. I dare say he has no talent at all. What do you mean? Someone asked. Wasn't the logic of this assignment very simple? It only takes 10 lines of code to finish. What about him? He wrote 100 lines. What's the most important thing in writing code? It's being concise and clear. He made the simple logic complicated, making people confused. Isn't that proof that he has no talent? It turned out that after opening the file, she got a virus. It turns out what Lai Zun had just written was a virus. None of them could handle it. Ju Yun had to take her computer to a repairman. Unexpectedly, not only could they not eliminate the virus, but the repairman's computer was also infected. Everyone tried, one after another, but no one could break the virus. Helpless, she took her computer to the teacher. He couldn't believe that this virus was written by his student. Ju Yun thought the teacher would scold Lai Zun, but instead, he asked Lai Zun for advice. They talked until late. Finally, the teacher remembered that Ju Yun's virus still hadn't been dealt with. Before leaving, he told Lai Zun to scan her computer. She knew that after the teacher left, he wouldn't help her willingly. Sure enough, Lai Zun didn't help her. What are you going to do if I don't scan it? He asked. Are you going to tell the teacher? Ju Yun didn't understand what grudge she had against him in her past life. Why was he always against her? She didn't believe him. If he didn't help her, she would stay up all night to crack the code. But she stayed up all night and couldn't fix it. Finally, Lai Zun's roommate, Gao Jianhong, sent them the password to break the virus. But they didn't care where this password came from. I went to Ju Yun and bought her grilled skewers and gave them to Lai Zun, Gao Jianhong said. I told her the virus was cracked by me and apologized for misunderstanding Lai Zun's talent. Seeing that Lai Zun didn't deny it, Ju Yun took the opportunity to advise him to attend morning self-study. So, you agree? She asked. Agree to what? He asked. You gave me 10 skewers, so you have to repay me by sleeping with me. Ju Yun couldn't stand to hear those words. This guy was so shameless. She quickly ran away. As she ran out the door, she realized she had left her phone inside. She wanted to go back and get it, but it was too late. Lai Zun not only didn't open the door, but he also refused to give her the phone. Early the next morning, when Lai Zun went out, he saw Ju Yun sleeping outside the door all night. You silly girl, he said. At that moment, Ju Yun was fast asleep when her phone rang and woke her up. Her best friend told her that Lai Zun had gone to the self-study session. Ju Yun rushed to the classroom. At the same time, she noticed her clothes. She didn't know how this jacket got on her. It turned out that early that morning, Lai Zun had put his jacket on Ju Yun. One day, Lai Zun passed by the classroom and overheard a girl practicing her performance for a cultural event. He went straight in and told her directly, "Your performance is boring. You should just give up." Ju Yun had never met anyone so rude. She was deeply offended. She went up to him and told him she would challenge him to a duel at the party that night. He had to come. "You're challenging me?" he asked. "Why do you want me to go so badly?" "Kid, you're so childish," she said. "This is a college party, not an elementary school one." the party started. First, there was a performance by the campus beauty on the violin. After the performance, she confessed her feelings to Lisun on stage. Lisun, oh, you may not know me, but I have something I have to say. I've always liked you. Everyone was stunned. Lisun didn't react at all, making everyone think he was being arrogant. Next up was Zhu Yun's performance. The campus beauty's performance was truly outstanding, so everyone expected Zhu Yun's to be equally good. Zhu Yun said she'd always wanted to raise a puppy. When she first entered college, she saw a golden retriever. I saw a stray puppy near the cafeteria. It was a golden retriever, and it loved to wander alone. They say it's very intelligent, a rare talent. At that moment, I decided to raise it. If I was going to raise it, I was going to train it to be a top dog. Zhu Yun cleverly used the image of the dog to attack Lisun. Though she didn't mention him directly in her performance, every word was about him. From that point on, everyone knew that there was a golden retriever named Top Dog in the computer science department. Everyone in the audience applauded and praised her. Zhu Yun thought she had won this time. She happily waved to the audience and left the stage. As she walked, she bumped into Lisun. He immediately stopped her and borrowed her microphone, announcing to the entire school, "Dear students, you probably never expected that our computer science department student, Little Choo Choo, would care about me so much. You don't need to secretly observe me like this. We can be together openly." The atmosphere became tense and mysterious. Everyone was waiting for the drama to unfold. This time, everyone's attitude towards Zhu Yun changed 180 degrees. They all thought that Zhu Yun was using her performance to confess her feelings to Lisun. The students in the audience excitedly cheered and threw paper airplanes towards them. The next day, the romantic video was all over the school website. Zhu Yun suddenly became the rival of all the female students. She immediately went online to post a clarification, stating that she had no relationship with Lisun. As soon as she left the dorm, she was stopped by the campus beauty. Facing the campus beauty's questioning, Zhu Yun took out her phone to show her. But at that moment, Lisun intentionally commented below, adding fuel to the fire. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have made you angry," he wrote. Zhu Yun was about to explode. She knew he was intentionally playing with her. She immediately went to the school's public address system to clarify the situation, saying that everything that happened last night was just a stage effect they had planned, and that she had nothing to do with Lisun. She was still single. "Hello everyone, I'm Zhu Yun, a freshman in the computer science department. During the welcome ceremony for new students, I represented my class in a cultural performance. But there was a small segment in the performance that led everyone to misunderstand my relationship with my classmate Lisun." She quickly clarified, "I'd like to clarify that Lisun is just a guest performer in my performance. We don't have any private relationship. I hope everyone won't misunderstand. Sorry for taking up your time." The male student was punished and sent to the guidance counselor's office to apologize. But standing outside the door, he saw the counselor's daughter. She was beautiful and noble, like a princess. At that moment, the head teacher appeared and chased him away. In the rain, Lisun was soaked to the bone. Just then, the girl ran out and offered him her umbrella. Lisun didn't want her to see his disheveled appearance. 1 year later, he topped the entrance exam and got accepted to the same university as her. That day, his mother went to visit her daughter and saw the student she had punished earlier studying there. She asked the teacher about her daughter's academic performance. She also asked if Zhu Yun was dating anyone. The teacher didn't say anything, just said that college students were all grown up. Even if they were dating, it was normal. Hearing the teacher's reply, the mother sensed something. She wanted to quickly visit her daughter. The teacher also quickly texted Zhu Yun. But before Zhu Yun could read the message, her mother walked in. Zhu Yun was so surprised. Her mother saw Lisun instantly. She couldn't believe that the boy her daughter was dating was him. In the mother's eyes, Lisun was just a troubled student. At dinner, she subtly asked her daughter about her relationship with the boy. Zhu Yun knew her mother was suspicious. She quickly explained, "He's my classmate. He's the top scorer this year." Unexpectedly, her mother said, "You should stay away from him." She then told Zhu Yun about how she had punished a male student who cheated in an exam. At Zhu Yun's 17th birthday party, a male student had come to her house to beg for forgiveness. That student was Lisun. Zhu Yun didn't believe Lisun would cheat. He was the top scorer in the province for the college entrance exam. He was also a famous genius at school. But no matter what she said, in her mother's eyes, Lai Zun was still a man without morals. Before leaving, she urged Zhu Yun to have less contact with the boy named Lai Zun. Zhu Yun couldn't believe her mother disliked Lai Zun so much, but she still trusted her own judgment. When Zhu Yun went back, Lai Zun had already guessed that Zhu Yun's mother wanted her to avoid him. He didn't explain anything. He just said, "I have a stain on my past. You should avoid me." Then, Lai Zun sighed. "We are not from the same world." Lai Zun was from a poor family. His father had passed away, and his mother had late-stage liver cancer. Lai Zun had to go to school and make money to pay for his mother's treatment. That day, he heard about a medicine that could extend his mother's life by 3 months. Because of his sick mother, he dealt with a rich student, helping him to hack into the results website and modify his scores. Lai Zun only wanted his mother to stay with him for a few more months. But later, their actions were discovered. The stupid rich kid changed all the scores to 9.5. Not only did they not get the money, but they were both expelled from school. Even worse, his mother passed away because of this. He didn't even have a chance to see her one last time. Lai Zun went to the head teacher's house to beg for forgiveness for the rich student. After all, he was the one who did it. But he saw Zhu Yun, who looked like a princess. When Lai Zun turned to leave, she even ran out to offer him her umbrella. At that time, Zhu Yun was like a ray of light shining on his life. Maybe he admired Zhu Yun. If the world treated her kindly, he wanted to be a prince that everyone adored. But now they were in different worlds. She was still a princess, high and mighty, while he was just a poor boy with a stained past. The next day, Lai Zun deliberately kept his distance from Zhu Yun, acting as if they were strangers. Zhu Yun didn't know why he was suddenly treating her like this. For several days, Lai Zun didn't say a word to her. But the best way to see if someone likes you is by the presence of a third party. That day, in the department's volleyball class, the school's heartthrob from the physical education department came to their class. As soon as he saw Zhu Yun, he fell for her. During his training, he was completely focused on her, paying no attention to anyone else. His hand rested on hers as he taught Zhu Yun how to serve the ball. This scene made Lai Zun incredibly annoyed. Though he said he wanted to stay away, his body acted otherwise. Just then, Zhu Yun accidentally injured her hand. Zhang Tinkai, heartbroken, took her to the infirmary. When they came out, Zhang Tinkai chased after Zhu Yun, asking for her WeChat. At that moment, Lai Zun rode his bike and knocked the phone of his rival out of his hand. The next day, there was a volleyball match, and Lai Zun challenged Zhang Tinkai to a duel. Zhang Tinkai was a professional volleyball player, far stronger than Lai Zun. Plus, he was still harboring resentment from the previous day, so he easily defeated Lai Zun. After the match, Zhu Yun comforted Lai Zun, saying that Zhang Tinkai was a national-level athlete, the best volleyball player in the entire school. Nobody could defeat him. It seems you're really in awe of him. No, it's just that he's really talented. Talented? Where? Where? Put that away. There are people like that everywhere. Do you admit it? Put that away. Do you admit it? I admit that you're awesome. You're from afar, you've traveled so far. Don't say those things next time. I wasn't saying anything. A few days earlier, Zhu Yun's team's project had advanced to the next round. This was the fruit of everyone's hard work over several months. However, that day, a woman suddenly arrived at their base. She was Zhang Zibui, the project supervisor, ranked 5th in the world. The school was cooperating with her company, so they dared not offend her. Zhang Zibui deliberately wanted to join their project. Even the team leader had to put Zhang Zibui's name on the project. Lai Zun's team could have completed the project themselves. By allowing Zhang Zibui to join, they were practically handing their hard work to her, while they became unpaid assistants. In the end, they would gain nothing. But Zhang Zibui went even further, removing Lai Zun's team leader status and replacing him with someone of her own. The worst part was that she ordered everyone to stay at the base after class, effectively stealing the fruits of their months of hard work. Before they even graduated, they had to experience the cruel reality that Zhang Zibui imposed on them. Zhu Yun, however, had been raised like a princess. She couldn't swallow this injustice. In her life, she had never encountered such an unreasonable person. That day, when Yang Zai-bui went to check attendance, she found that Zhu Yun was absent. In her world, there was no one she couldn't subdue, especially a student. When Zhu Yun returned to class, her senior brother told her that things were bad. Zhang Zai-bui was searching for her. Then, they heard Zhang Zai-bui's voice. Students nowadays are so bold. You're still young, yet your audacity knows no bounds. Even before you arrive, your voice can be heard. Everyone dared not breathe. Without saying a word, Zhang Zai-bui splashed water on Zhu Yun's face. To Zhang Zai-bui, if she wanted to subdue someone, she had to use violence. That was the only way to manage effectively. But Zhang Zai-bui never expected that she had provoked the wrong person. Even after splashing the water, she wasn't satisfied. She demanded that the school punish Zhu Yun, accusing her of sabotaging the cooperation between the two parties and demanding that she be severely disciplined. This would directly affect Zhu Yun's future. The headmaster immediately tried to protect his student, but Zhang Zai-bui threatened him. I advise you not to meddle in this. Is it worth sacrificing yourself for a student? It seemed that Zhang Zai-bui was on a path to self-destruction. News of Zhu Yun's ordeal reached Lai Zun. Facing such a powerful person, even Lai Zun, with all his intelligence, was helpless. That night, Lai Zun went to Zhang Zai-bui's home, willingly surrendering the project to her in hopes that she would spare Zhu Yun. It seemed that the only thing a powerless person could do was bow their heads. When Zhu Yun heard that Lai Zun had given the complete project to Zhang Zai-bui, she told him, "Don't worry, I will never let Zhang Zai-bui get what she wants. Let's wait and see." Back at the dorm, she secretly called her mom. The school enterprise cooperation center had an external project supervisor who asked Zhu Yun for help with the project. The deadline was too tight, and she couldn't finish it well. The supervisor got really mad, which was outrageous. She told her mom the supervisor's name was Zhang Ziobai. It turns out, one phone call was more powerful than 1,000 soldiers. The leader immediately brought Zhang Ziobai to meet Zhu Yun's parents. Zhang Ziobai didn't expect Zhu Yun to have such a powerful background. Her mother was a high-ranking manager of the provincial education department, and her father was a famous businessman. At the dinner table, Zhang Ziobai's superiors were extremely respectful to Zhu Yun's father. At this moment, Zhang Ziobai wanted to cry, feeling like a fish on a chopping board, unsure what would happen next. Luckily, she was smart and quickly apologized, repeatedly calling Zhu Yun little sister. Little sister Zhu Yun, I sincerely apologize. What I did was wrong. I am truly sorry. It wasn't that I didn't know I was wrong, I was just scared. Zhu Yun looked at her mom, unsure whether to forgive her or not. However, Zhu Yun's mom had no intention of forgiving her. She gave her no face and publicly criticized her. Some staff members in the company have mediocre work abilities and don't do anything. They even have poor moral character. They rely on their positions and connections to suppress students, and they do whatever they want for their own benefit. They affect students' graduation, and some even want to take advantage of their position to humiliate students. This is outrageous. After her mother finished speaking, Zhu Yun's father was even more forceful, directly putting pressure on the company owner. The owner immediately stood up and raised a toast. But this wasn't over. Zhang Ziobai knew she couldn't get away with this. Little sister Zhu Yun, I apologize. Zhu Yun and her boyfriend went out to eat. A guy wearing glasses recognized her. You don't recognize me? I'm Fang Jiajing. Zhu Yun remembered the nasty things he had done in the past, feeling resentment from the bottom of her heart. After dinner, she leaned on Lai Zun's shoulder and burst into tears. I want revenge on that bastard Fang Jiajing. She wanted to ask Lai Zun to avenge her, telling him all the bad things Fang Jiajing did. But Zhu Yun didn't know how to tell him about those disgusting things. Lai Zun was currently focusing all his energy on his startup and didn't have time for other things. At this moment, Zhu Yun only wanted revenge. Finally, Lai Zun agreed to help her get revenge on Fang Jiajing. Who knew that this impulsive act of love would indirectly lead to Lai Zun's imprisonment? The next day, during Fang Jiajing's speech, Lai Zun suddenly appeared, stepping onto the stage and declaring that he could crack Fang Jiajing's patent. Fang Jiajing was puzzled by this sudden enemy. In front of many eyes in the audience, Lai Zun easily cracked the content. The USB also displayed private photos in front of everyone. Fang Jiajing couldn't understand why Lai Zun would target him when he hadn't done anything wrong. Lai Zun, while venting his anger for his girlfriend, also made Fang Jiajing an enemy. After the incident, Fang Jiajing's people asked Lai Zun, "You know this will ruin the rules, and your achievements will also be affected. Why did you do this?" "Because of love." Lai Zun had gained the beautiful woman's heart, but also got himself into trouble. After going out, Fang Jiajing vowed not to let Lai Zun off the hook. 3 years later, they met again in a network competition. After all these years, the enemy finally found out Lai Zun's weakness. He knew that Lai Zun's parents were dead, and his only sister was here for a medical checkup. So he secretly followed her, booked a hotel room near her, and the next day, he actively approached her, claiming to be Lai Zun's best friend. He knew their family situation wasn't good and intentionally said that the food here was very expensive. Lai Zun's sister felt sorry for her brother's money, so she asked Fang Jiajing to help her find a cheaper hotel. This is how the enemy took Lai Zun's sister to the countryside where there was no phone signal. Lai Zun wanted to contact his sister but couldn't call. Lai Zun arrived at the hotel only to find out that his sister had already checked out. At that very moment, she was out shopping when she received a call from her younger brother. As a result, a car suddenly rammed into her, and Lai Zun heard his sister's screams as she was run over. His parents had already passed away, and his sister was the only remaining family member he had. From that day on, Lai Zun was left with no one close to him. Although Fang Jiajing was the one who caused her death, the law couldn't punish him. But how could Lai Zun let him get away with it? He had already planned to die with Fang Jiajing, and right there in the lecture hall where Fang Jiajing was giving a speech, Lai Zun lunged at him, punching him repeatedly in the eyes. He also buried his own future in the process. He was once a leader in the internet industry, but now he was going to prison at a time when the internet was developing rapidly. When Zhu Yun heard the news of Lai Zun's imprisonment, she was frantic and wanted to see him. She knew this was all her fault. In fact, it all started with a small incident. Fang Jiajing was her senior in college, and he had killed Zhu Yun's close friend from high school for his own future. Unexpectedly, in her desire to avenge her friend, she indirectly ruined Lai Zun's future. Regardless, her parents forbade her from seeing Lai Zun and immediately sent her abroad to study. When Zhu Yun visited Lai Zun in prison, he asked her to break up with him. He said he had only been using her all along and that he had known her wealthy family background from the start. He said that his parents had known about his family's background from the beginning and told him to leave and never come back. He knew he had no future, but he couldn't ruin Zhu Yun's bright future. Eventually, Zhu Yun went abroad under the arrangement of her parents. But this wasn't the worst part. Before Lai Zun went to prison, he had transferred his company shares to his best friend, Gao Jianhong, and asked him to run the company for him until he was released. However, while Lai Zun was in prison, Gao Jianhong seized control of the company. He thought he still had a future, but Lai Zun's current situation had nothing to do with him anymore. But what was even more shocking was how Fang Jiajing found out where Lai Zun's sister was. "It was me who told him." "You're saying what?" Lai Zun couldn't believe Gao Jianhong's betrayal, even if he was beaten to death. 3 years later, Lai Zun was released from prison. Before he was arrested, he had entrusted his company to his best friend. After his release, he went to his company, only to discover that his best friend had turned his back on him and taken over his company. He even mocked Lai Zun, saying he was just a stray dog now. Back then, Lai Zun had entrusted his company to him and even sent his beautiful and wealthy girlfriend abroad. He laughed at Lai Zun, saying that he would only be living at the bottom of society from now on. It had been 3 years, and Zhu Yun had returned from her studies abroad. All these years, she had never forgotten Lai Zun. As soon as she returned to China, she went to see her old classmate, Ren Dai, and saw that Lai Zun's company had gone public. They talked about how Lai Zun would be doing well after his release from prison, and she was relieved. But they didn't know that Lai Zun was now penniless. From that day on, she always felt like someone was watching her from behind, but when she turned around, she realized it was just her imagination. After Zhu Yun left, Lai Zun went to Ren Dai's house. This time, he wanted to collect money. In college, Lai Zun had invested in her band. She couldn't believe that Lai Zun's company was doing so well, and was still asking for this small amount of money. I said, "Lai Zun, your company and Gao Jianhong's company are about to go public. You're about to become rich. And yet you're worried about this small amount of money. Who doesn't want money? Randy couldn't believe that Lai Zun had become so petty after all this time and deliberately made him angry. She said that it was a good thing that Zhu Yun didn't end up with Lai Zun. She was about to marry her childhood sweetheart, and they were going abroad the next day. The next day, Zhu Yun and her childhood sweetheart, Tian Tuzhu, were on their way to the airport when she received a call from Rendi. Rendi asked Zhu Yun to borrow some money to pay off her debt. As a big star, she couldn't show up, so she had to bother Zhu Yun before she left. Zhu Yun had been waiting for him at a cafe, but she didn't know that the person she was waiting for was Lai Zun. He arrived at the meeting place and saw Zhu Yun handing over money. He was about to go in and get it when he saw her childhood sweetheart, Tian Tuzhu. Lai Zun thought they were about to get married, so he didn't want to appear in front of Zhu Yun. But before leaving, Zhu Yun seemed to catch a glimpse of Lai Zun. She was sure she wasn't mistaken and hurried to chase after him. By the time she got outside, he was gone. "Are you looking for Lai Zun?" someone asked. "Who is he? Where is he?" "He's Lai Zun's cellmate," the man said. "I'm here to collect money for him." But before they could react, the man grabbed the money and ran away. Zhu Yun wanted to know where Lai Zun was and why he needed money. She chased after him and blocked him in a narrow alley. "Where is Lai Zun? Who are you?" she asked. "Let go of me," he said. The appearance of Lai Zun lit up Zhu Yun's eyes. They had parted ways when they were deeply in love. Even after all these years, Zhu Yun's love for him hadn't changed. Zhu Yun had countless questions for him. "When were you released from prison? What are your plans next?" she asked. "That's none of your business," he said. "I'm like this now. It has nothing to do with you. It doesn't matter who you're with." Even after all these years, he hadn't changed. He loved Zhu Yun deeply but knew he wasn't worthy of her. He also wanted revenge, but he couldn't disrupt her peaceful life. So he had to say those heartless words to make her forget about him. Zhu Yun couldn't believe that the feelings they had for each other all those years ago were so insignificant in Lai Zun's eyes. She was incredibly disappointed. She decided to go abroad and leave this place. The next day, they left for abroad. On the way, she saw the company she and Lai Zun had founded together, growing bigger and stronger. Lai Zun had fulfilled his dreams, but she remembered him coming to get money. Lai Zun was a major shareholder of the company. How could he be short of money? Zhu Yun immediately searched for the company's shareholder list and discovered that Lai Zun's name was not on it. At that moment, she saw Fang Kaijing's name. He was the person who killed Lai Zun's sister. He couldn't possibly be cooperating with him. This company also held her dreams. She had to find out what was going on. Zhu Yun immediately went to see Gao Jianhong. She asked him about the company Lai Zun entrusted to him 3 years ago. But why wasn't Lai Zun's name on the shareholder list? "I'm the owner of the company now," Gao Jianhong said. Zhu Yun finally realized that Gao Jianhong had betrayed Lai Zun. Lai Zun was now penniless. Zhu Yun warned him that Lai Zun wouldn't give up so easily. But Gao Jianhong wasn't afraid. "Lai Zun is indeed a genius," he said. "But he was in prison for 3 years, during the peak of the internet boom. Everything is changing so fast these days. 3 years are enough for Lai Zun to never recover, especially now that he's at the top. Lai Zun is alone. How could he possibly get revenge?" But he had forgotten one thing. There are many geniuses in this era, but there is only one Lai Zun. After returning home, Zhu Yun decided to give up her dream job abroad and stay to help Lai Zun. She heard that Lai Zun was going for an interview at a small company. She followed him there. "Hello, Mr. Quach. I'm downstairs. Don't let the interview be delayed," she said. Hearing her voice, Lai Zun realized that Zhu Yun had also come. He knew she came for him. Zhu Yun knew that Lai Zun had been in prison, so it was difficult for any company to accept him. She was a brave knight, willing to take risks for love. Even if the whole world abandoned Lai Zun, she would still choose to stand by him. During the interview, the CEO seemed unconcerned about them. After all, those who came to this failing company for an interview were all incompetent people. He was in prison. "What about you? Have you finished looking? I'm talking to you. Hand me your CV. I bet you're just like him. A weakling without a proper resume." "Excuse me, this is my CV," Zhu Yun said. "Young people nowadays, they can't compare to those in our time." They don't know anything, the CEO grumbled, staring at Zhu Yun's CV in disbelief. I've worked for years and have never seen such an outstanding CV. But think about it. How could someone with such a beautiful girlfriend apply to this crappy company? He had no doubt that Zhu Yun was a fraud. What kind of people are you hiring at this company? Even frauds. You're a fraud, right? I beg you. Next time, make your fake stuff a little more realistic. Can you even come to this crappy company with a CV like this? You don't have any faith in your own company. Can we get to the point? You're basically saying you have no faith in your own company. You're interviewing employees as if your company will go bankrupt tomorrow. How can you recruit talent? Even if the company really has no potential, you have to believe in it. Having confidence will bring luck. You can then find the key to turn things around. And you're the HR director of this company, right? So I'm going to ask an off-topic question. What do you think is the most important thing for an HR person? What do you think? Zhu Yun asked. It's the ability to spot talent. Otherwise, even if you meet a talented person, you won't recognize them. Then it would be a great pity, Zhu Yun said. He was quickly stumped by Zhu Yun's question. After a few more words of advice, they believed Zhu Yun's CV. After the interview, they nervously asked Zhu Yun how much salary she wanted. You can set the salary, but I have a condition, Zhu Yun said. What condition? They asked. The person who interviewed me earlier must also be hired, Zhu Yun said. The only condition was that they hire Lai Zun. But what company would hire someone who had been in prison? I'll work for free. You can just give it to Lai Zun, Zhu Yun said. If you hire both of us, the monthly salary will be 6,500 yuan. I'll take a loss first, and then get paid later. If either of us are late or leave early, you can deduct our salaries. Of course, if he breaks the rules, I will deduct his pay. If you accept these conditions, you can start working tomorrow. Zhu Yun gave up her multi-million-dollar job to come here with Lai Zun. You're really not going back? Lai Zun asked. You don't need this job. Think about your career, your high salary, your future. But Zhu Yun had chosen this company. Their company had saved the Milky Way in their past life. A few thousand yuan could recruit 2 people. It could change the fate of the entire company. No matter how many years had passed, Zhu Yun's love for Lai Zun never changed. As long as Lai Zun was in trouble, she would jump into boiling water or fire for him without hesitation. As they left the company, Lai Zun was still standing at the gate waiting for Zhu Yun. As usual, he had a cold expression and told her to stay away from him. Let me give you some advice, he said. Stay away from me. Every word from Lai Zun was hurtful. He wanted to push Zhu Yun away. But no matter what he said this time, Zhu Yun didn't get angry. She understood him. Lai Zun had given her all his warmth and love. You don't understand, do you? He said. I could die, be homeless, or live in poverty. It doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with you. Take that guy with you and your outstanding CV. Stay as far away from me as possible. Do you understand? Perhaps Lai Zun didn't want Zhu Yun to be involved in this. He didn't want to ruin her future. Or maybe he was jealous after hearing that she was about to get engaged. See you tomorrow, Zhu Yun said. They were about to return to their former time together. He held her hand. She held his. The atmosphere was sweet. One was determined to take revenge, but didn't want to involve the other. The other sacrificed her future to help him. They became colleagues. Unexpectedly, the company actually looked down on those who had been in prison. They didn't even want to ask him to install a computer. Zhao Deng, install the computer, someone yelled. Not install, the man said. Didn't you hear? Install the computer. Where is your brain? Let me do it. He couldn't believe this guy knew how to install computers. After all, he was the only one in the company who knew how. You know how to install computers? You learned that in prison? He asked. Yes, I did, Lai Zun said, confidently installing the computer. The man couldn't believe his eyes. Every time they installed a computer, it took the entire morning, but Lai Zun only needed less than 5 minutes. What kind of profession did he have before? 3 years ago, I installed this type of computer, and I didn't expect it to be the same after 3 years. Lai Zun also didn't expect this company to be so backward, intentionally ridiculing their equipment as being too old. This equipment is not as good as the one I used 5 years ago. It's really getting better now. Hey, don't take off your gloves, there's another one, install it. It's not related to me, I won't install it for her. Nobody knows why Lai Zun was angry. Maybe he still hasn't figured out the relationship between Zhu Yun and Tian Tuzhu. At this moment, the company's owner also arrived. He's also very pitiful, carrying the burden of this almost bankrupt company, having to pay salaries for employees, so he has to work extra by taking taxis on the road. After returning home, he learned that the employees still haven't started working. Several days have passed, and they haven't even created a game script. Right now, I just want someone to stand up and say, I can do this project. Lai Zun also began to doubt life. Being so grown up, he had never seen such useless people. Stop for me. Did I say we're disbanding? You said. What results have your studies yielded? If you can't see the results, don't waste your time. Say it again for me to hear. Because he didn't want the boss to bother Lai Zun, Zhu Yun took on the project by herself. I can do it. I can do this project alone. She truly opened the boss's eyes. This company has struggled for so many years. The boss finally saw someone willing to stand up for the company. Thank heavens, thank earth, thank the universe. But these people, for several years, haven't been able to create a single game. They completely didn't believe Zhu Yun had that kind of ability. If you take over, it means you have to shoulder the responsibility. If you can't complete it, both of you will be fired, so you can do it too. Maybe just like that, Zhu Yun was appointed as the team leader. Lai Zun and the others became members. Her thinking was clear, her actions decisive. She immediately assigned tasks to each person. You temporarily take charge of maintaining technical aspects, specifically helping me install the computer just now. You've been stubborn and refused to install it. Now you have to obediently obey Lai Zun. Your whole body is tough, only your mouth is the most stubborn. Even after 500 years, archaeologists might still find your mouth because it's too hard. The next day, Zhu Yun bought breakfast for everyone. Unexpectedly, Lai Zun threw it into the trash can in front of her. But Zhu Yun knows how to handle him. She quickly ran after him and ridiculed him, saying he still loves her. Lai Zun, do you still like me? When will you be able to fix your narcissism? Even if the sky falls, Lai Zun's mouth will be there to catch it. Finally, Zhu Yun reminded him that if he wants to take revenge and regain the LP company, he has to forget everything from the past and act like a normal colleague, cooperating happily. On the other side, Lai Zun's former good brothers, Gao Jianhong and Fang Jiajing, after hearing that Lai Zun had found a place to settle down, hadn't been able to eat or sleep well for several days. Although they stood at the pinnacle of their careers, they still feared Lai Zun's ability. The two of them investigated that small company, which only had 4 people, and they all had weak abilities. Knowing this, they were relieved. They were certain that the company would be bankrupt in less than a month. In the afternoon, Lai Zun took a special leave to buy computer accessories. In the past 3 years, he had enough time in prison to become a computer genius, but he didn't know which ones were good and which ones were bad. This one is not bad, Titan, buy it back to use, it's classy. Knowing this one was the best, he immediately bought 2, one for himself and one for Zhu Yun. The two of them truly had a telepathic connection. Zhu Yun had also gone online to buy accessories and installed them at the company. That night, Lai Zun came to the company and saw that Zhu Yun had already finished installing everything. At this moment, he realized that he could actually order online. He felt that the internet was developing too fast. Because he didn't know how to buy online, Lai Zun felt quite upset. He had been stagnant for 3 years. A teenage computer genius was imprisoned at the most prosperous time for computers. He should have been the center of the internet, a leading figure in the IT world. In those years of rapid computer development, 3 years was enough to dampen the spirit of a teenage genius. Lai Zun, who should have had an excellent diploma and a provincial top scorer, only had a high school diploma. It was truly heartbreaking. Zhu Yun only realized that he had taken an afternoon off to buy these things after seeing him buying accessories. Zhu Yun must have felt both touched and heartbroken at this moment, right? To thank Zhu Yun for buying equipment for him, Lai Zun used this as an excuse to invite her out to dinner. In fact, he wanted to be by Zhu Yun's side. Leaving the company, he asked Zhu Yun about her life abroad. It's very good. The only thing is that I have to speak English when speaking Chinese. The food is a bit hard to swallow, but I can do the work I like, learn things I like. It's very enjoyable. In fact, during the 3 years she was abroad, she missed Lai Zun so much that she suffered from depression and almost died. She had to rely on medication almost every day. However, Zhu Yun said it so easily now. Every word she spoke was to avoid making Lai Zun feel guilty for her. The next day, her childhood sweetheart, Tian Tuzhu, took her to work, and he wanted to visit her workplace by the way. You're Tian Tuzhu, the painter, right? Yes, I am. You're my idol. I only have two idols in my life. One is my senior in college, Zhu Kaiyang, and the other is you. I really like you, haha. Everyone was surprised to see the famous painter Tian Tuzhu visit their broken company. They wanted to take advantage of this opportunity and ask him to advertise for them. At this moment, Lai Zun arrived at work. Lai Zun, let me introduce you to someone. This is a friend of team leader Zhu Yun, the famous painter Tian Tuzhu, very famous. Lai Zun saw his biggest rival and immediately showed his attitude. He was already in a bad mood on Monday morning, and now he saw the person he hated. Zhu Yun, worried that Lai Zun was unhappy, took the initiative to come over and tell him that she had solved the game task he had assigned her. No wonder you have time to do other things. Seeing Lai Zun angry, Zhu Yun told Tian Tuzhu to go back first. Brother Tuzhu, we have to start working now, you go back first. Okay, what time can I pick you up? No need. Hearing that he wanted to pick up Zhu Yun, Lai Zun's lungs were about to explode. During the 3 years Zhu Yun studied abroad, Tian Tuzhu was always by her side. Moreover, when Zhu Yun stayed in China to develop her career, he also stayed willingly. During this time, Tian Tuzhu would always appear in front of them. After the addition of Zhu Yun and Lai Zun, their first game was finally completed. However, the game poster they drew was too bad. The game poster was the face of the entire company, and they couldn't afford to hire a painter. Everyone thought hard and couldn't figure out how to draw it. It would be great if they knew a painter right now. Zhu Yun suddenly remembered Tian Tuzhu. That night, she invited Tian Tuzhu to her house to help her draw the poster. Lai Zun always wanted to know what the relationship was between her and Tian Tuzhu. Fu Yitrak also advised him, if you can't forget her, find her and ask her. Ask her if she has a new boyfriend, rather than sitting here and guessing. So, Lai Zun mustered up his courage and went to Zhu Yun's house, only to hear Tian Tuzhu's voice. Who is it? Brother Tuzhu, open the door for me. Okay, come in. Who is it? No one. Lai Zun thought Zhu Yun already had a new boyfriend. The next day, Zhu Yun went to work and told everyone that she had found someone to draw the poster. This is it. This is what Tian Tuzhu drew. He drew me while I was sleeping. Lai Zun was jealous. He didn't want to sit and watch. His colleagues looked at the painting on the screen and praised it endlessly. Mr. Tian, right? Didn't your painting sell for more than our project? How did you ask him for help? No way, team leader, I feel like this company owes you. Lai Zun was speechless after hearing this. After the meeting, Tian Tuzhu personally handed Zhu Yun his phone. She also asked, when did you draw me last night? I saw you sleeping soundly last night, and I remembered that we've known each other for so long, but I've never drawn you before. Seeing them be so intimate, Lai Zun's expression turned ugly. You're so promiscuous. What do you mean? Your eyes for men are not good at all. Lai Zun, you're going too far. Is he chasing her or is she chasing him? I told you to stop. Are you jealous? How can you be so narcissistic? Did that painter confess to you? Or are you just imagining things? Don't just humiliate others like that. Even if I love him, what's it to you? Do I owe you something? Even if I used to like you, so what? Ask anyone on the street if they still remember who they liked when they were 18. You liked me when you were in your first year of university. It's a pity that I wasn't interested in you at that time. You keep pretending. I only remember someone who liked me, who always stared at me during class, who treated the sketches I drew like treasures, who asked me who that was. I also remember someone who intentionally ate my lunch to get to know me, who stayed late in class just to see my homework, who spent hundreds of thousands on a haircut to confess to me, who was afraid that I would be snatched away by someone else. The most ridiculous thing is that someone likes to say these meaningless things, choose me, I won't betray you. Lai Zun ridiculed Zhu Yun's feelings in front of his colleagues. How persistently you loved him, how infatuated you were with him. Even more heartbreaking was that he mocked her promises. Each word was like a knife stabbing Zhu Yun's heart. Her eyes turned red. Although she didn't burst into tears, her heart felt suffocated. Only the people who understand you best know how to hurt you the most. Lai Zun understood Zhu Yun too well, which is why he caused her so much pain. It wasn't until that evening that Fu Yitrak realized that Lai Zun had said those things on purpose. He told Fu Yitrak that he felt Zhu Yun was gradually returning to her old self, becoming more and more affectionate towards him. He couldn't let her have hope anymore. Zhu Yun had a future and a life ahead of her, and she couldn't be ruined because of him. Zhu Yun went to a bar, feeling sad. Adults always learn how to drown their sorrows in alcohol, hiding their true emotions. After returning home, Zhu Yun took a handful of sleeping pills. As a result of overdosing, she fainted. The next morning, Lai Zun received a call saying that Zhu Yun was in the hospital. He rushed to the hospital. At this moment, he felt both guilty and regretful. Fortunately, Zhu Yun received timely medical attention, and her life was not in danger. If anything happened to Zhu Yun, Lai Zun would never forgive himself for the rest of his life. Tian Tuzhu also told Lai Zun the truth. 3 years ago, Zhu Yun suffered from severe depression. She had been taking medication for 3 years, but these medications had serious side effects. During her 3 years abroad, she had nearly died countless times. Hearing this, Lai Zun finally remembered Zhu Yun's previous words to him about how happy she was abroad. It turned out that all her words were lies. At this moment, Lai Zun realized that he had buried Zhu Yun's love for him. The next day, Lai Zun found Zhu Yun and apologized for not knowing she was sick. Zhu Yun pretended to say it was okay to comfort him. The two of them agreed to be normal colleagues. They both understood that their feelings for each other were still there, but there were many other things to do in this world besides love. Therefore, the best state was to maintain a certain distance between them. They both shared the same goal, to pursue their childhood dreams. Lai Zun got to know a computer genius, Huning, who was a fellow prisoner. He felt injustice for Lai Zun and planted a virus into Gao Jianhong's game company system. However, Huning didn't realize that if he got caught, he would implicate Lai Zun, causing him to return to prison. Fortunately, Lai Zun discovered this in time. He quickly eliminated the virus. On the other side, Gao Jianhong's company discovered the virus and guessed that it was Lai Zun. At the same time, they also found out that he had eliminated the virus. But Gao Jianhong didn't want to miss this opportunity. If there were no opportunities, he could create them. Illegal system intrusion would result in prosecution. Gao Jianhong wanted to send Lai Zun back to prison. When Huning returned, Lai Zun angrily criticized him for doing something like that and risking going to prison. However, Huning said that he had hidden their IP addresses, so they wouldn't be able to track them down. While they were talking, the police arrived. At the police station, Lai Zun confessed that he had cleaned up the virus, so he didn't cause any damage. However, Gao Jianhong deliberately framed him, saying that he had deleted the company's most important data. Lai Zun didn't expect Gao Jianhong to want to kill him. He admitted, "You're still stubborn after being released from prison for a few years. Wait for me." Just when they didn't know what to do, Zhu Yun appeared. With her presence, Lai Zun wasn't afraid anymore. She was his last line of defense. "I have nothing to say." She has something to say. In the hacker world, there's a saying, everything can be traced. Anyone who intrudes into a server leaves a trace. Zhu Yun opened the system. The system showed that after Lai Zun logged out of the server, new data was deleted, meaning that Lai Zun wasn't the one who deleted the data. Lai Zun was framed. Seeing them arguing like this, Gao Jianhong said, "Go back and investigate the employees to see who accidentally deleted the data." But at this moment, the lawyer wouldn't let go. "Comrade police officer, this Zhu Yun, she intruded into our company's network in front of you. She also extracted data from the server. This is illegal, and she should be sentenced to at least 3 years in prison or be detained. Is there a problem with me accessing the internal network of your Feiyang company?" Internal network? It turned out that Zhu Yun was manipulating the internal network of her own company. What she did just now was just a demonstration. She even calculated the time of entering the system. Gao Jianhong discovered that it was just a trap. He had nothing else to say. Gao Jianhong, who had been arrogant for so many years, couldn't do anything. They couldn't believe how smart Zhu Yun and Lai Zun's children would be if they had one. After returning home, the landlord thought that Lai Zun and Huning were bad guys, so he threw all their belongings outside. Afterwards, Huning blamed everything on Zhu Yun. If it weren't for you, Lai Zun wouldn't have to go to prison. You're a jinx. Without you, he wouldn't be in this situation. Hu Ning forced Lai Zun to choose between friendship and love. It was raining heavily, and Lai Zun had nowhere to go. The two spent the night in the company. Lai Zun gave his shirt to Zhu Yun, telling her to change out of her wet clothes. But there was only one shirt. She asked for his pants. Do you have any pants? Can I wear your pants? I don't know. I've never worn your pants before. Throw them over here. She almost showed her underwear. But the pants were a bit loose. Lai Zun gave her the only room, while he slept outside. The next morning, Lai Zun's back pain recurred. His colleagues happened to see this scene. Seeing the two of them, they realized that they had spent the night at the company. Early in the morning, everyone had something to gossip about. Did you two sleep at the company last night? What are you thinking about? We had something to do last night, so we had to stay. So you slept at the company? You have nothing to say? They're right. We slept at the company. Zhu Yun led everyone to develop a game, which was very popular upon release. As soon as Gao Jianhong saw it, he recognized that it was Lai Zun's work. For many years, Gao Jianhong had relied on plagiarism to start his business. He wouldn't let go of Lai Zun's game. He shamelessly copied him. They were the biggest game company in the country, using this advantage to quickly capture the market and dominate every front, bullying big and small companies. After watching Zhu Yun's company's advertisement, they clearly wanted to suppress them, not giving them a chance to rise. Returning to the company, he saw the boss selling his car for the company. Zhu Yun had no choice but to find Lai Zun to see if he had any ideas. As a result, she saw him talking to a girl from the company. You're about to have an affair, and you're still here doing nothing. This is a private matter for the employees, team leader Zhu. Is there anything else? Zhu Yun said nothing and returned his shirt to him. You didn't wash it for me. You have so much free time, go wash it yourself. Returning to the company, she saw everyone packing up and preparing to leave. But at this moment, the boss came back with a bag of money. He had sold his car and declared, even if we have to drain the last drop of blood, we have to fight with Iapi. The first step is to take them for team building, have fun, and then return to fight back. On the way, Lai Zun fell asleep. Zhu Yun was afraid that he would catch a cold, so she closed the door and window. When it wasn't enough, she used her body to block the gap. Lai Zun saw all of this. During dinner, everyone didn't understand why a big company like Iapi would go against a small company like theirs. Zhu Yun told them the truth. It was because Lai Zun was here. She also told them that Lai Zun was the founder of Iapi. Before going to prison, he had handed over his authority to his best friend. As a result, after he went to prison, his friend stole the entire company. They only realized now that Lai Zun was so talented. No wonder Lai Zun always had an air of mystery about him. That evening, when Zhu Yun returned to the hotel room, she saw Lai Zun there. She checked the room number, it matched her room card, she wasn't in the wrong place. There were 2 rooms, and there was another room inside. It turned out the boss had intentionally arranged for them to stay together. At this moment, Zhu Yun discovered a photo on the floor, taken 3 years ago when they broke up. She was the one who had torn it apart. She didn't expect Lai Zun to have picked it up, glued it back together, and always carried it with him. She knew that Lai Zun still had feelings for her, but the relationship between them was now like ice on the surface of a lake. She wanted to break through this layer of ice and decided to take the initiative. Have you seen enough? Don't stand there, it's cold. It is cold, come down here. Zhu Yun mustered up her courage and took the initiative. Lai Zun, do you ever think about me? What if I do? I don't believe you, I don't believe it at all. Are we out of chances? Now you only think about the company. You don't mention me, you don't mention it. Can we pretend that the past never happened? Seeing Zhu Yun's cheeks flush red, Lai Zun restrained himself from hugging her. He couldn't hug a girl who was drunk, especially Zhu Yun. He hadn't finished settling scores with Gao Jianhong yet. He didn't want to make a rash decision. He cherished Zhu Yun's feelings very much, and he had to maintain his distance and reason. It's all in the past, I've forgotten. It's easy to like someone, but it's hard to love. Today, after returning, they had to fight with LP. Zhu Yun was very afraid of Fang Jiajing. 3 years ago, they lost. She was afraid that they wouldn't be able to win this time. But Lai Zun reassured her. Don't worry. You're afraid of Fang Jiajing, but Fang Jiajing is even more afraid of you. You're afraid of him, but he's afraid of me. What are you afraid of? I'm afraid of nothing. Lai Zun had already made a plan for the project. He had been preparing it for a long time, and it was about to be implemented. Don't you think this game is ridiculous? It's not ridiculous at all. What is this? The teacher quits work, the strict female teacher, the innocent female student, the maid. Isn't it ridiculous? Lai Zun's game was a love game, but Zhu Yun felt that he was becoming more and more playful. Don't be angry, I'll explain it to you after class. That evening, Lai Zun didn't explain anything. So, she made an excuse to go into the room to get something. She looked around and found the things she needed were at the highest point. She didn't believe that Lai Zun wouldn't help her. Seeing that she couldn't reach it, Lai Zun helped her. The atmosphere became awkward. When Zhu Yun turned around to leave, they both fell onto the bed. The single bed couldn't withstand the weight of two people, and the bed collapsed. Are you okay? I'm okay. It suddenly started raining. There was nowhere to stay, so Lai Zun had no choice but to ask Zhu Yun to find a house with him tomorrow. You have time this weekend. What are you doing? You broke my bed, so you have to pay for it. The two of them moved into a new house that weekend. When Zhu Yun helped Lai Zun unpack, she discovered that the shirt she was wearing was still unwashed. It's your shirt, it's like pajamas now. But you didn't wash it. It's not dirty, why wash it? I've worn it. So what? So you should wash it. Admit it, Lai Zun, you didn't want to wash it because you didn't want to lose the smell of the shirt. Even if it was wrinkled, you didn't wash it. That evening, when Lai Zun saw Zhu Yun off to the downstairs, it happened to snow. This made Zhu Yun recall 3 years ago. Lai Zun, do you have any dreams? Let's just stay like this. Then I'll go back first. Remember to tell me when the princess is back. This was the first time he called Zhu Yun princess in 3 years. The snow also helped to bring their relationship forward. However, at this moment, Tian Tuzhu wanted Zhu Yun to go to France with him next year. Zhu Yun declined because she had chosen Lai Zun. She couldn't leave. Unexpectedly, as she was about to speak, Tian Tuzhu interrupted her, telling her to make a decision when the time came. After all, no one could predict the future. The next day, the whole family sat down for dinner. Zhu Yun's mother invited Tian Tuzhu to join them and treated him like her son-in-law. She also introduced him to her family, making Zhu Yun speechless. At this moment, Zhu Yun received a call from the company. Their game company was attacked by hackers. She hurried back to the company. Lai Zun said it was Huning who did it. It turned out that Huning had teamed up with Gao Jianhong, but now no one knew where Huning was hiding. Lai Zun could only ask Dong Ziyang to find his former colleague. He told Zhu Yun that Dong Ziyang was a gangster who had been in prison before, so he was afraid that Huning would be dead by the time he found him. Zhu Yun was afraid that Lai Zun would go back to his old ways. She couldn't bear to see his life ruined. She had to ask Dong Ziyang clearly what he would do if he found Huning. Go back to your place. Don't you have anything to do? You have to deal with this today. You just spend the whole day doing pointless things. Why is it pointless? I'm warning you for the last time. The game is in its final stages of completion. You can do whatever you want to cause trouble, but not now. Don't do anything else until this matter is resolved today. Zhu Yun was afraid of losing Lai Zun again. She wanted to ask clearly what they would do if they found Huning. She was afraid that Lai Zun would do something reckless, but Lai Zun found it annoying. Zhu Yun walked away dejectedly, and Lai Zun followed her and sat beside her. Zhu Yun said to him, "If the project fails, we can start over. But if you have something happen to you, it's over." At this moment, Lai Zun received a call saying that Huning had been found. Lai Zun told Zhu Yun to stay in the car and not go outside. Zhu Yun saw that there were gangsters outside, and she was very worried. She was uneasy, afraid that something like 3 years ago would happen again. She ran over to stop Lai Zun. As she ran over, she saw the same scene as 3 years ago. Lai Zun pushed Huning off the 3rd floor building. 3 years ago, Lai Zun was imprisoned for 3 years for intentional injury. This time, Zhu Yun tried her best to stop Lai Zun, telling him to calm down. But unexpectedly, when Lai Zun came out, he saw that Zhu Yun's eyes were red. He comforted her, saying that Huning was fine. It turned out that he just gave Huning a lesson. If you do something wrong, you have to be punished. It's okay. It's just to scare him. 3 years ago, Zhu Yun suffered from depression because she was tormented by the fact that she couldn't stop Lai Zun. Today, she didn't want history to repeat itself. Lai Zun hugged her sadly, promising that he wouldn't make her worry anymore. This hug seemed to dissolve all the misunderstandings from before. After Hu Ning was arrested, Lai Zun kept him there to work. Having a programming expert like Hu Ning meant that the game developed even faster. In addition, they had even more support. Their former classmate, Rendai, was now a famous star. Thanks to her endorsement, the game quickly gained a lot of attention and sign-ups. However, a plagiarist like Gao Jianhong, seeing that Lai Zun's game was so popular, wanted to copy it. Gao Jianhong didn't care about anything. As long as it was something Lai Zun made, it was the best. He had been copying for so many years, and now he couldn't create anything original. Even if Fang Jiajing advised him, Gao Jianhong still wanted to copy Lai Zun's game. I know, Lai Zun could fart, and he would bring his nose closer to smell it. But in Gao Jianhong's eyes, Lai Zun's farts were more fragrant than perfume. But Lai Zun's game was very complex. Even if all the employees in the company copied it, it would take half a year. Gao Jianhong didn't expect Lai Zun to be so deep and unpredictable. It turned out that Lai Zun had deliberately made the program complex, making it impossible for him to copy. Moreover, their company was about to go public. He would risk stealing the source code. As long as he stole the source code, he could prosecute them. That evening, Gao Jianhong found a few hacker experts to infiltrate Lai Zun's server to steal the source code. But they were all defeated by Hu Ning. Should we let Gao Jianhong steal the source code? We've already faced each other once. It's so easy for him to steal the source code with our strength. Are they daring to copy? Lai Zun wanted to let Gao Jianhong know that the source code wasn't something you could steal if you wanted to. Then he set a trap for him. Hu Ning's strength wasn't fake. Even if Gao Jianhong hired hacker experts, he couldn't compare to him. Lure the snake out of its hole and attack its lair. In a flash, the entire system of Gao Jianhong's company was infected with a virus. He couldn't hack into Lai Zun's system and had no choice but to turn to his wife, Tula, to use her as a beauty trap to get Lai Zun's source code. She had been secretly in love with Lai Zun for 3 years, having fallen for him at first sight during a programming competition 3 years ago. Lai Zun, I love you, she said. You're so handsome. Tula Na even confessed her feelings to Lai Zun, saying, Thank you for protecting me. I'll be at the Coffee Bean tomorrow morning. You have to come. I have something to tell you. Lai Zun was confused. He had clearly protected Zhu Yun. Why was she coming to him? The appearance of a rival also made Zhu Yun feel threatened. Knowing that Tu Lina was going to confess her feelings to Lai Zun the next day, she couldn't just stand by. Early in the morning, she went to get her hair done and put on the dress Lai Zun had given her, then went to their meeting place. At that moment, Lai Zun appeared behind her and confessed his feelings to her. Unexpectedly, Lai Zun later committed a crime and went to prison, leaving Tu Lina to marry Gao Jianhong. That day, Tu Lina went to a party for the online gaming community, dressed in an elegant gown. Lai Zun was still as brilliant as ever, making Tu Lina incredibly envious. She told him that she hadn't been happy at all these past years, and she'd always thought of him since he appeared. It was all so sickening, her feelings so cheap. Zhu Yun had endured hardship with Lai Zun all these years, while Tu Lina had chosen Gao Jianhong and the luxurious life he provided. After Tu Lina woke up, she realized she was in Lai Zun's room. She had also stolen the source code. This time, she had approached Lai Zun solely to steal the source code. Lai Zun was sitting in the living room, knowing her purpose all along. Once Gao Jianhong copied the source code, his plan would be successful, and he could finally press charges against him. Gao Jianhong finally obtained Lai Zun's source code and then went to the hospital. He had a malignant tumor in his brain, and the doctor urged him to undergo surgery as soon as possible or he could be in danger at any moment. However, he refused surgery until he had defeated Lai Zun. Gao Jianhong returned to the university, filled with memories of Lai Zun. Lai Zun had been the provincial top scorer, while he had ranked 6th. He was actually very talented and had a bright future, but Lai Zun was too dazzling. There was only one top spot, and all through university he had been Lai Zun's shadow. He was determined to defeat Lai Zun. Even his wife had been in love with Lai Zun. He had lost in both career and love. After Lai Zun went to prison, he thought he had won. He took over Lai Zun's company, willing to use any means necessary to drive Lai Zun into a corner. However, even though Lai Zun was in prison and away from the internet age, his innate abilities remained extraordinary after 3 years. Lai Zun's source code was incredibly complex, and no matter how much they copied and modified it, they couldn't replicate it. They had to use the original source code. Fang Jiajing, knowing that Gao Jianhong wanted to copy Lai Zun's source code, tried to stop him. After all, it would affect the shareholders. There were countless game source codes. "You're acting like this is some kind of snake-eating snake game," he said. "Lai Zun wrote this. There's no other source code like it. If you copy it, you'll be caught red-handed." But Gao Jianhong just laughed, confident that they could handle any lawsuit. Lai Zun was just a small company, no match for them. Fang Jiajing still had some sense of reason left. He pointed out that Lai Zun's friends and classmates were not ordinary people. His funding wasn't just from Fayong Company. Everyone was looking to invest in him. He had powerful backers. The King Hong band had connections that weren't to be underestimated. They would help when he was in trouble. "Speaking of which," he said, "King Hong's vocalist, Ren Dai, is also a college friend of yours. Why doesn't she help you?" Fang Jiajing was good at provoking people. Gao Jianhong just laughed. "I'm looking forward to the day you beat Lai Zun. You need to stay healthy, Lai Zun. You too have some problems," he said. Fang Jiajing wanted to help and warn Gao Jianhong that without him, their company wouldn't be able to go public. "I don't care if our company goes public or not," he said. It turned out that Gao Jianhong only cared about whether he could win against Lai Zun. He was willing to close his eyes even if it meant his death. What Lai Zun needed to do now was to file a lawsuit. Their classmate, Fang Shimayo, who was now working at a law firm, and her team would find it hard not to win. However, that day, Zai Lena came to beg them to withdraw the lawsuit, holding Gao Jianhong's medical records. She told them that he had a malignant tumor and didn't have much time left. Then, she played the emotional card, saying that Gao Jianhong still kept their photos together and begged them to show mercy to him. She also advised Lai Zun that living in hatred was tiring, that more than 4 years had passed, and he shouldn't waste any more time. That was truly shameless. Why didn't she say that when she was stealing his company? Now, she was reaping what she had sown and was advising him to be lenient. But Lai Zun wasn't a fool. He wanted Gao Jianhong to pay for his crimes with blood. He had to immediately sue them. Lai Zun entrusted his former classmate, Fang Shimaya, who was now a lawyer, to negotiate with Gao Jianhong. Unexpectedly, Gao Jianhong wasn't nervous at all, as he had a video that could ruin Zhu Yun's reputation. Later, Fang Shimayo brought it back to Lai Zun. After watching it, Lai Zun withdrew the lawsuit. It turned out that Gao Jianhong knew he couldn't win against Lai Zun, so he intentionally edited the video. The content of the video showed Gao Jianhong entering a hotel room, and Zhu Yun followed him in. After they came out, he intentionally fixed his clothes as if they had a relationship. I came up with the title, "The CEO's Extramarital Affair with the High-Level Executive." You know how famous Zai Lena is, right? If she uses her TikTok account to post this video to accuse me of having an affair with Zhu Yun, what do you think will happen to Zhu Yun? That's what's called ruining one's reputation. Gao Jianhong knew Lai Zun's weakness was Zhu Yun, so he only needed to use Zhu Yun to threaten Lai Zun, and he would stop. So, because of Zhu Yun's reputation, Lai Zun let Gao Jianhong off the hook. Zhu Yun learned that Lai Zun withdrew the lawsuit, and she was confused. She quickly asked for the reason. "Zhu Yun, you have to try your best. I'll show you the video." Gao Jianhong was so stupid. Then, Zai Lena made an appointment with Zhu Yun at a hotel and deliberately stained Zhu Yun's clothes. Zhu Yun had no choice but to wear Zai Lena's clothes. At that time, Gao Jianhong was hiding in the room, and then came out to intentionally create fake news. This video has no signs of editing. So, send it to me. Gao Jianhong didn't think much of it and sent it to Zhu Yun. She didn't say anything and posted the video online. She didn't want Lai Zun's years of hard work to be wasted. If she dared to post it, Gao Jianhong would no longer have any leverage over them. Gao Jianhong didn't expect Zhu Yun to post a video that was detrimental to him. He was also dumbfounded. He had calculated everything, but underestimated the depth of Zhu Yun's love for Lai Zun. Zhu Yun played a trick of turning his own weapon against him. He had nothing left to threaten Lai Zun with. This also meant that he had lost to Lai Zun. Then, Zhu Yun's video spread across the internet. Lai Zun woke up and saw the video. He didn't say anything, but immediately went to find her. He lovingly kissed her. "This part is not good, I will help you." Then, the next day, Lai Zun confessed his love to Zhu Yun. He said that he had been in love with her since college. Now, could they start over? Zhu Yun firmly stated that she wanted to be with him. The two reconciled. The next day, they went to find Gao Jianhong to settle the score. By then, Gao Jianhong's condition had worsened. He was bleeding profusely. This was probably karma. Zhu Yun and Lai Zun had once said to each other that traitors would go to hell. It turned out that they didn't betray each other, but this saying applied to Gao Jianhong. Gao Jianhong lay on the operating table, feeling extremely remorseful. He asked Zhu Yun to apologize to Lai Zun for him. He didn't expect that Lai Zun had also come to the hospital. Gao Jianhong was too jealous and lost his mind. Otherwise, they could have worked together after graduation, conquering the programming industry. In the end, Lai Zun still softened and offered to reconcile. He just wanted their old company name, LP. He wanted the company name VP, which means Lighter and Princess Dress. Lighter and Princess Dress were the first gifts they gave each other, symbolizing their love. They wanted to bring their initial dream and continue walking together. They thought they could be together forever. Little did they know, when Zhu Yun's mother came to her office, she found out that Zhu Yun's ex-boyfriend had just gotten out of prison and was working there now. It was only then that Zhu Yun's mother discovered why Zhu Yun had stayed at the company. Later, Zhu Yun was taken home by her parents. Her mother learned that Lai Zun and Zhu Yun had been secretly seeing each other after he got out of prison. Zhu Yun revealed the truth. Before Lai Zun went to prison, his company had been taken over by a friend, and she stayed to help him rebuild his business. Now, they had achieved success. However, her mother still didn't approve of their relationship. Lai Zun had a criminal record, and Zhu Yun's mother firmly believed that once a criminal, always a criminal. She wouldn't allow them to be together. Then, Lai Zun showed up, but Zhu Yun's mother didn't welcome him. She wanted to kick him out and wouldn't let him into the house. But Zhu Yun stood by Lai Zun, saying, "This is our home, Mom. You have no right to interfere, and you have no right to decide." Zhu Yun was always a well-behaved, obedient daughter, but this time, she dared to defy her mother. Her mother thought it was Lai Zun's influence. Lai Zun came from an ordinary family, which Zhu Yun's mother looked down upon. Moreover, Zhu Yun came from a wealthy family and had never experienced hardship. Zhu Yun's mother believed that Lai Zun wasn't worthy of her daughter. Even after hearing about Lai Zun's excellent academic achievements, she didn't believe it. Compared to the smooth-talking and flattering Diane Tuzhu, Lai Zun's personality wasn't favored by Zhu Yun's parents. "Auntie, you are Zhu Yun's mother. Even if you don't want to listen, I have to say it. I said it before, you can set any conditions, and I will try my best to meet them," Lai Zun said. Ultimately, Zhu Yun's mother made the most difficult demand. "If you can find a way to wipe away the stain in your past, and then have your parents come meet with my family, we can talk about this." Lai Zun replied, "I understand, Auntie. This is a polite way of saying no." Lai Zun's parents had passed away. This was a deliberate attempt to poke at his pain. Despite being spoken to so rudely, Lai Zun remained calm. "Auntie, Zhu Yun has the power to change the world. Why do you insist on her listening to you?" No matter what her mother said, in Zhu Yun's eyes, Lai Zun was the one she loved most. Others may not understand Lai Zun, but she did. Only she knew how difficult his past had been. She knew he was a man who appeared cold but was warm inside. So, regardless of her parents' objections, she was willing to stay by his side, never to betray him. We can see from Zhu Yun's actions that love can melt even the coldest of hearts. Later that evening, Zhu Yun told Lai Zun that she wanted to have children with him. "I want to have a child to deal with my mother, you know? It has nothing to do with this." "Why do you want to have a child then?" Lai Zun asked. "I want to have a child to make our home more lively," Zhu Yun replied. "You're a year and a half older than me. You're almost 30. It's time," she said. Zhu Yun was always thinking of Lai Zun. The next day, Lai Zun took Zhu Yun to their new house. It turned out that after he learned about Zhu Yun's desire to have children, he had immediately purchased a new home. We wish all the female viewers watching this video will find a boyfriend like Lai Zun. Zhu Yun then secretly registered for a marriage license with the help of a co-worker. Zhu Yun's dream for the company became a reality, and her dream was to marry her first love. They received their marriage certificate and moved into their new home. Everyone came to celebrate. As for Gao Jianhong, he ran away with Lena to another country to receive treatment. Fang Jiajing was imprisoned for abusing his power. Seeing Zhu Yun so happy, Lai Zun felt at peace. In this tumultuous world, few people are as steadfast as Zhu Yun. She always had her heart set on Lai Zun. Most touching of all, even though her parents cut off contact with her and her mother refused to accept Lai Zun, she still remained steadfast by his side. She gave birth to 3 children for him and worked together with Lai Zun to achieve their dreams and fulfill their aspirations. This was a kind of happiness for Zhu Yun. If life were only like the first encounter in this life, I have seen that if people really die, there are indeed shadow puppets. Then, destiny will repeat itself in each other's memories. These scattered moments form love. I think Lai Zun and Zhu Yun's story is a loop of destiny and an arrangement by God. That concludes the entire story of the drama, The Lighter and Princess Dress. Did you enjoy this drama? What score would you give it? Please leave your answers in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Goodbye and see you next time.